Hello, welcome to the Sovereign Magazine Show, a transformational experience where conscious conversations meet embodied wisdom. Each episode invites visionary healers, thought leaders, and change makers to share their journeys of awakening, offering listeners practical tools and soul stirring insights to reclaim their inner authority. We have the beautiful Efrat Shokaf back for our series on the spiritually aware parent. And today we are talking about daily invitations from mundane reactions to a shared journey of growth. And if you have missed all of our foundational episodes on what is a spiritually aware parent or what are spiritually aware children and that parent soul contract, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 3. All right, Everett, why don't you give a introduction to yourself and a little bit about our topic today?
Hi, Nicole. So I'm Efrat Shukef. I'm the author of two award-winning books, The Promise We Made and Universal Promises. I'm a shamanic energy healing practitioner working with families, children, parents, teens worldwide, and a mother to three spiritually aware teens, one young adult by now, according to social definitions. And I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited because we're going to be talking about the next step. So, we talked about soul contracts and agreements in our last episode, but now we're going to be talking about the daily and the journey. And so, why don't you share a little bit more about these parenting moments as invitations rather than tasks that we have to do?
So everything that happens to us, everything that happens around us is an invitation. And especially within our interactions with our children or very close people, because all those very close, sorry, all those very close interactions are interactions we invited, we wanted to have as part of our soul's journey. And when we're talking about nuclear families and a parent-child dyad or a few children, um, it's more of a shared journey than a personal journey, especially in the first years. So everything that happens to one of our children is also happening to us. Everything that happens to us is also happening to our children. Any piece of healing, of embracing the journey that we take, every such step affects our whole family. Every step that they take, even if it's just admiring the hummingbirds in the window, that's a step inviting us as well. So it's a shared journey. It's a shared journey. It's always a shared journey. And it's amazing to observe how, when we tune in to that piece, that big piece of being on a shared journey, something shifts in our ability to walk life together. Suddenly things fall in place. Suddenly we can listen to one another, not just listen to our words, listen to our behavior, our requests, our needs, our challenges, our gifts, our wins. And then each one of these take us together. But I think that what, in my experience, it starts literally in daily moments, daily moments. When I was recovering from my car crash and near-death experience, I noticed that when I'm aligned, really aligned to my truth, I'm having what I call them soul moments, but it's a moment. It can be 5 seconds. It doesn't have to be even a moment of feeling the luminosity, the tranquility, the calm, the presence, and knowing the truth that I felt when out of my body in my near-death experience, but now within my body, within being present in my very literal reality. As part of my journey, I was looking, I really wanted to share this amazing experience of expansion with my daughters. And I learned that it's not about telling them the story of what happened during the NDE. It is about guiding them to create those soul moments within their lives, guiding us to be authentic, aligned, very, very attentive to our truths. And when I say it starts with very, very literal moments, it's those moments that you need to take a drink of water and you don't go and do that. And it's that moment that your phone beeps, but you're doing something with your child at that moment, or you're folding laundry, which you won't have time later. And do you continue doing what you're doing, or do you go pick up that phone? It's about those moments of knowing depending where you live and your schedule, at 4 p.m. that you need to start thinking about dinner or supper if you haven't already. And do you continue scrolling on your phone for another half an hour? Do you continue working? Do you delay something? Or do you listen to that inner knowing, I need to go to prepare dinner now? It's those inner knowings of you're out with your kid and just enjoying yourselves. And is your mind spinning about all the list of things you have to do in order to get them in bed on time? Or can you just embrace that moment? All of these little moments, and every parent can think about so many such examples, are moments that we can be aligned to our truths or unaligned to our truths. Self-compassion, we all notice the unaligned moments much more before we notice the aligned moments. But as we notice those unaligned moments, we can start shifting within our days. And it starts in those very, very literal moments of saying, oh, I'm going to shift something, or noticing our nervous system and then taking an aligned, deep, relaxing breath before reacting. And when we start noticing, we communicate to our soul, I'm listening. And then the alignment or the invitation for alignment will start growing into greater and greater aspects of our lives. And I've noticed that when working with parents and guiding them, and definitely with kids, to anchor the sense, what you feel when you made an aligned decision, an aligned choice, sometimes even just the recognition of your own inner soul truths within you is such a moment. When we anchor them and we notice, this is how I feel, it's much easier for us to then create more and more and more and more such moments. This is what living heaven on earth is for me. Because when I accumulate those moments of being aligned, attentive to my truth, I am also modeling this to my daughters. I am also rippling that same healing and anchoring and example around me. I'm also communicating both to my soul, I'm listening and things can go, and to their souls, I'm on the journey. I'm on the motion to become that potential I promised you I would become. And that legitimizes, especially with younger kids that are the little ones that are so expanded, and really we are blessed to have so many amazing souls join us here on earth in this time, when we, even if we are not yet who they trusted us to be, but we are in that process of being attentive to those soul moments, to what's aligned and what's not aligned, and learning, we tap into their soul's journey and we communicate, because we always communicate also energetically. It's just, we communicate more energetically than with our words, but we communicate, stay on your journey. I'm doing my best to fulfill that promise of becoming who I promised I would be. So that is, it starts in those very, very daily moments. And maybe this is, so far in everything that we talked about, it's the most practical invitation into just notice your moments and don't judge yourself, and no criticism when you're unaligned. Just noticing, I'm unaligned. Oh, I was unaligned again. After a week, after a month, you won't be unaligned at that piece because you agreed to see it. And you shifted something and you shift another thing. And then it's a ripple. You can't stop because you're already on a journey, your own journey and your family's journey. It just happens.
It is so true. It is so true. I was the first one to start shifting things in my family, and now they all are definitely shifting as well. And even the shared language that I have with my husband, he talks about manifesting now and talking to the universe and all these things that 10 years ago he would have never said. And so it definitely is a ripple. And I almost want to bring it back down to an even more practical way of looking at things for people because I just recognize within parenting, so often parents think of the difficulties that they have with their children, whether that's fighting or especially if you have multiple children. Luckily, I only have one child, so I don't have to deal with the sibling rivalry or anything, but I hear a lot about it from my daughter with her friends. And she always says, Gosh, I'm so glad I didn't have siblings, which I'm like, they have benefits too. It's just the phase. But the simplicity that I want to bring it back to is when you are in those moments, you were saying aligned or unaligned or misaligned, depending on how you want to say it. But I want to say, how do we help people respond versus react in those moments? Because that to me is the alignment or unalignment, right? I feel like I respond now versus react from a triggered perspective more often than not. Of course, I always have my my moments, but when we are aware of what we were talking about before about on another show about our baggage or what we come with and all of those things and our traumas and things like that, I have these outer body experiences. They're so cool. I don't know if you've had them either, where I'm literally aware of myself, but my higher self is up here watching me going, Okay, there you go again, Nicole. You're going to watch yourself. Okay, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the old way? And I watch myself in real time do whichever way. Sometimes I react, sometimes I respond, and I have complete compassion for myself as my higher self is watching myself. And it's really cool when it happens because it mostly happens for me when I am communicating with my daughter. My higher self will come out and be like, when you were a child, you would have wanted to be responded to in this manner in this situation. So which one are you going to choose? And it's this whole experience of having this beautiful dance between just blurting out the anger or whatever's going on inside, the reaction versus what do I really want to accomplish in this moment? Like, what is the greater purpose of this interaction? And what is the invitation my child is asking me to rise to the occasion with, right? Which is very hard when you're triggered. So I'm just wondering how we can shift from reacting to responding when we have these emotions that are running high.
I'm familiar with what you're describing, but I don't think it's very common
Mm.
to have your guidance communicate and stop you in the moment. Okay. It often comes later. That reflection, that thought, that inner work. Most people don't, I think both of us are familiar with that in continuous guidance, being present in whatever we say and do. But we've walked a long journey to be where we are in that co-creation of our daily moments. For most families, I would first add the option of not responding. It's not only between responding and reacting. There is also an option of not responding, watching, observing, being present, but not making any clear action, reaction, or even response, just
Mhm.
nothing. There is also another piece that we need to add as a possibility, even before working on our triggers, and that is to say, I'm sorry, I was triggered. If I could take the time back, I would tell you, and I should have, I apologize. So these are pieces that we can bring in because, yes, we are the parents, but kids learn to apologize and take responsibility also, again, by modeling. And it's okay to say, I was wrong. And we are wrong so often. So often we could have reacted differently. We could have responded differently. We could have kept quiet. We could have taken it into our work. And the process between in shifting from triggers to response and from response to an accurate, precise soul response, because there are slightly different, uh, is looking at the invitations. So if we are triggered by a way our daughter responds to a friend or reacts, we take it to ourselves and we ask, when do I react like that? Or when did I react like that? And we can also take it over, when do I react like that? When were times when other reacted to me that way, and what did I feel? And that usually opens up a thread of tracking into other deeper themes that we can unweave. The deeper we go into the root of that pattern, the quicker we heal. And again,
Yeah.
so many modalities available for us today to do such work. And as we heal, so it's about anger. It's about noticing those. When my daughters were young, I would notice them imitating how I talked. And then what bothered me wasn't that it was realizing this is how I said something, or understanding that this is how my mom talks and my mother talks and my grandmothers. And I was like, oops, no, I don't want to continue that. So I didn't have as many tools as I have today, but I took the tools that I do have, and everybody has some kind of tools in their toolbox, and they're very simple ones. You don't have to have the kind of toolbox I have today. There's so many simple simple tools we all have, and just consciously saying, "Oh, I'm going to change that."
Yeah.
And it didn't necessarily mean anything negative. It was just about understanding that there is a thread. And if there is a thread, there is something holding on to us with deeper meaning, because otherwise it would not be an invitation and we wouldn't notice it. And when we agree to notice everything, and this is a very clear invitation on my behalf, please agree to see everything, know everything, and be ready to heal, because then your kids can offer their invitations and you can be on that shared journey. But those are the pieces that we take into deep healing. And as we work with every trigger, then we're not then we shift into responding and being attentive, and letting go of the control of needing to be the leader of that journey. No, we're on that journey together. No one is more important than the other. So sometimes not responding, sometimes just sitting through, just listening, are often more powerful tools than putting the fire down in the moment.
Yeah, I love this so much because it's reminding me of this moment I had with my daughter. I don't remember the topic, but she was like, "Mommy, what did I do wrong? Like, why are you so upset?" And I was like, "No, honey. You're the adult in this situation. I'm the child. I'm having a temper tantrum right now. This is my inner child being very upset about whatever it was going on. And you responded beautifully. I mean, she really did respond like an adult. And she was like, "Oh, okay. This is so great. Mom's having a temper tantrum." And I'm like, "You just got to give me some time." And that was it. I didn't need to say anything else. I just needed to share with her that She did okay. She responded how I should have as the parent. And then I was having the temper tantrum. I don't even remember what it was about. But I also loved that you said sometimes there is no response. Oftentimes, I will just listen. I actually don't say a lot to my daughter. Sometimes I can get on my rants, but we all can. But I get more information from her when I'm quiet. She is one that will share more if there's no response. And so I love when I'm just quiet and she's just rambling on because I actually get a deeper insight into what she's thinking because it's almost like she's journaling out loud when she talks. And so not saying anything and just being a witness has actually strengthened my relationship with her because I wouldn't say that on a daily basis she's very free flowing with her emotions verbally. I can definitely tell energetically where she's at. But when she does share, I just have to be quiet and just have no response. Or I often ask her, how did that make you feel? Or what do you think about that instead of offering advice? Because oftentimes she's not looking for the advice, right? And so there's this, recognizing when we're operating from our own conditioning of trying to fix everything as a parent, right? Versus, just giving our child that space and giving them the gift of presence.
Yeah, and what you just said is really important because often kids ask for space, and they ask for space because this is what we taught them. Like my daughters still sleep, all three of them, they have the same room. We have enough rooms in the house so they can each have their own room, but no, they're sleeping in the same room because they have their chats and like this party before they go to sleep. It's their thing. But there's so much focus we see with a lot of family about each child having their own room, their own space. Culturally, we are pushing them away. We are pushing them away. So, and kids learn that they need space. We too sometimes need the space to come down and gather our thoughts when something activated us. But you can give space and be patient and let your child come to you, or even not have a conversation about something while still being present. And again, this will be very different for different families, but sometimes it's those little acts that we reach out to them. We are there. I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about also not taking it too far into being so present that you cancel who you are, because then we're doing the opposite of what we want to do. We want to be who we are. And for each of us, that means something different. And for each of us, with 1 year and another month, it's a different story. But it's about taking that journey of growth. And again, returning to what I always say, being a spiritually aware parent, we weave in spiritual tools. We weave in our spiritual understanding that everything we do is about more. It's a spiritual journey, energetic communication, and we take responsibility and do what we need to do. And if we're returning to the start of our conversation, it starts by noticing what's aligned and what's not aligned, noticing our moments of being really attentive to our inner truths. And that changes because as we heal and transform and become more of who we are, we can even see more of what it is. So
Mhm.
one
Yes.
step at a time.
Yes. Okay. I've been loving this conversation so much. Thank you so much for sharing all your gifts with us. We have
Thank you,
another
Nicole.
episode coming called Raising Children in Transformative Times, which is definitely what's going on right now. And I love that you shared, we don't know what the future is going to hold for them. And so we can only be in this present moment. And so if you're enjoying these episodes, definitely like, share, subscribe. It helps us in that algorithm. And if you need to find Efrat Shokef, she is so wonderful to work with. I personally work with her myself. All her details are in the show notes. She will be back for another episode. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Nicole.